Howdy! Welcome to episode number 88 of Fight for a Happy Life, the show that believes even a little martial arts makes life a whole lot better. My name is Ando, and it is my pleasure today to bring you a conversation with Sensei Andrea Harkins. Now, you might know Sensei Andrea better as the martial arts woman. That's the name of her long-running blog, which offers a female perspective on the world of martial arts. Now, let me tell you something about Sensei Andrea. Yes, she's been writing magazine articles for years. And yes, she's a member of a couple different halls of fame. And yes, she's written a couple of different books, The Martial Arts Woman and Martial Art Inspirations for Everyone. She's also a mother. She also just went back to college and got her master's degree. She also taught martial arts for many, many years. But you know what? Forget all of that. Do you know what I think her greatest accomplishment is? She's a very nice person. Shouldn't kindness be an accomplishment? Now, I know it might seem in this day and age that nice people don't exist anymore, but hang on. You might be one of those people. I'd like to think I'm one of those kinds of people. When you listen to Sensei Andrea speak, I know you're going to figure out right away that she's the real deal. She's one of those very nice people that you hear about in stories. So let's share some good vibes and listen to Sensei Andrea Harkins. A quick note, our internet connection was not perfect. I cleaned up this audio the best I could, but if you still find the occasional crackle to be annoying, my apologies. Sensei Andrea Harkins, how are you today? Welcome to the show.
Hi, Sensei Ando. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here and very honored, of course.
I am honored. Of course, I'm ashamed that it's taken so very, very long. I believe we've known each other 6, maybe 7 years now, and it's taken this long for me to actually have you on the show. And I feel terrible about that, so please accept my apologies right up front. I should tell everyone that we met, I believe, in a LinkedIn martial arts forum many years ago. And I will always remember it because starting my website, I was always afraid of the critics and the trolls and the haters. And meeting you, and you're such a nice person, you're very generous with your time and your information. I thought, well, this isn't so bad. You know, there's hope here. So anytime I would get beaten down a little bit, I'd always think, yeah, but you met Andrea, and Andrea was cool. So I've always held that in my head as like the gold standard of like, yeah, there are great people out there. So thank you for that, being my hero on the side. I didn't tell you.
Well, thank you. Now, you are the one, and I'll just say this up front, that helped me get started in my blog. So I talked to you profusely about it 7 years ago, and you were the one that told me, just do it. Stop waiting. Don't worry. Just give it a go. And that was 7 years ago, and I've been doing it ever since. So I really owe you gratitude for that.
Fantastic. Congratulations on keeping it going all this time. So many come and go or think about it and then don't get started. And you are still as productive as ever. And we will get to that shortly. But let's start off. The show is Fight for a Happy Life. So I'm always curious, how do you define a happy life and how is your fight going?
Well, Ando, a happy life is difficult to come by, really, because it's such a mental game. You really have to play your hand right to find your own happiness. And mine's going great. I've done so many things, and I think for me, productivity and growing and martial arts and positivity all give me the opportunity to live a happy life. So I'd say that my journey is going very well. All of the different things I'm doing, I always try to stretch my imagination and stretch what I'm doing in my life. Last year, I earned my master's degree in organizational management. So I'm always looking and striving for more. I have a wonderful family and a great family life. Happiness for me, I'll almost say it comes easy because of the people that I have. But you always have to struggle with that mindset and make sure you're staying positive. So that's where I am, and I continue to work toward being more positive and helping others be positive, and all those things really help me live a happy life.
Beautiful. So you started right off. I was going to get to it later about how productive you are. You just went through a master's program. Congratulations, of course. You have your blog. You just started a new podcast. You've written a couple of books. So you're very, very productive. But now you're suggesting that maybe that is one of the secrets to your happiness, is to stay productive. So that's your motivation to get up and going. Is there anything else you can tell us about your process, or for anyone out there who's trying to write a book or start a blog and they feel like, I don't have time? Can you talk away their excuses and tell them there's no excuse?
Yeah, and I will. I think the thing is that you have to take the first step. None of us have time when you look at it that way. It depends wherever you are in your life. You're busy, trust me. But the one thing that I don't do very much is watch TV, because I use that time that a lot of people sit and watch TV, or a lot of people, maybe they're talking on the phone or social media. I use a lot of that time for my own productivity. I seek out little bits of time, and I still work full time. I have a full-time job outside of martial arts and all my martial art fun. And in the morning, I get up maybe a half hour earlier than I would, so that I can work on editing a podcast, or coming up with a script for the next podcast, or writing my next blog. And I just eke out little bits of time wherever I can. It might be during the lunch hour, it might be 15 minutes before bed, but I constantly keep myself going and finding the little tidbits of time that I need to be creative, because I just have a creative soul. I can't help that. I need to express it. That's what I do.
Beautiful. So 15 minutes is better than no minutes. No matter when you can do it, do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And on the weekends, granted, I'll sit 3 or 4 hours in the morning and just work on blogs and podcasts and social media and all those things. So I do find bigger chunks of time on the weekend as well.
Beautiful. Well, it's clearly working. I can't keep up with you. I gave up that long time ago.
Pretty well.
I'm trying. But yeah, no, you're always doing more. So it's funny, because I think I saw one of your posts where it said, yeah, because I'm doing my master's degree, I've had to do a little less of this or a little less training. And I'm not sure if anybody noticed. Only you noticed.
Yeah. That year of studies, though, I did scale back quite a bit. And I was concerned about it. I was like, everybody's going to forget about me if I scale back too much. But, now I'm just getting right back into it.
Mm-hmm. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. They were like, where's Andrea? Now, during this down period, let's say, of not training as much, did you feel a difference in your life when you couldn't punch, kick, or sweat as much as you normally do during this master's degree program time? How did that affect you?
Yeah, I really did. I gained a little weight too, unfortunately. Now I have 7 pounds to get rid of.
Okay.
So, and the martial art mindset that I love so much, and the work ethic in martial arts, and how you feel so invigorated when you practice martial arts. I missed all of that. I really did. And I was always concerned, what if I don't go back to it? What's going to happen when I'm finished with this program? Is something else going to come up and I'm not going to ever get back to it? And I've had those same little steps in my life before where I thought, I'm never going to get back to it. But I always do, because it's just such a part of me. So I did feel it. I did miss it. But here I am and getting back into the swing. So it's all good.
Awesome. So, okay, that's interesting. If you have an extra 15 minutes in your day, do you start writing a blog post, or do you start doing some kicks? Which is the number one compulsion?
15 minutes. I would probably do a few kicks in the 15 minutes over the blog, unless I had a thought in my mind that I knew I just had to get it out and make sure I memorialized it somehow.
I get that.
Yeah, take a few minutes and just do a few kicks and feel empowered about my day.
Mm-hmm. Now, is that what you feel the martial arts gives you more so than anything else, the empowerment? Can you speak to how martial arts has changed your life, or sustained your life, or empowered your life? How does it improve your life?
Yeah, martial arts it's incredible what it does for you. When you first learning a martial art, it is just that physical thing that everybody talks about. Oh, it's kicks, it's punches, it's blocks, it's stepping stances and katas, and it is that in the beginning, but then it becomes more. It becomes a part of who you are. You suddenly think about things differently. You suddenly see life differently. It certainly helped me become a more positive person because I saw the power of martial arts in life, and I could take those martial art experiences that I had, those little board breaks, and apply them to life and say, hey, I broke that board. That means I can get through this too. I earned that black belt, so that means I can really get through this. And that's how martial arts inspires me every single day. I have some martial art experiences over time that I can step back and see how they directly relate to my life and use the tenets of martial arts in my life every single day. It's very, very empowering.
Fantastic. That's very persuasive testimony. Still,
I would, right?
Still, there are probably people out there who want to write a book like you, start a blog like you, even record songs and release songs like you. You do so much. Can you speak to those people who might be listening today directly, the ones who are still on that edge of not taking that first step? You already said taking the first step, that's important. But how do you get them over that hump? You're a motivational person. How do you get people to get going?
I think the first thing is, like anything, you have to just do it. Stop worrying about, and I mentioned this earlier, stop worrying about what you think is going to happen, what people might say, what mistakes you might make. If you want to write something, you sit down and you write it. And even an author or somebody who's been writing for a long time does not write a first draft that's perfect. You look at that and you scribble and scratch through it so many times if you've handwritten it, or on your computer, you're constantly going through it. There's no perfection, so just go for it. The other thing that happens a lot is people ask me, how do you publish a book? I really want to publish a book. And I said, oh, that's great. Have you written the book yet? And they say, no. And I say, well, you know what? Let's worry about publishing until you actually read the book.
Yeah. and then you never hear from them again. That was the last time ever.
So my advice about writing is just to be genuine, to really write something that you relate to, something that inspires you. Don't worry about an audience or publishing or any of those things. Just write it and then give yourself the chance to reread it and enjoy it, enjoy the process and the experience. It's really not as scary as you think. And I started writing when I was 10 years old. I started writing songs and playing on my guitar. And I always thought, why don't I keep doing this? And as an adult, I had those little fears. I was concerned about how well I would do, or what rejection would come my way. And I wrote my first article for a very well-known martial art magazine and sent that in. That started to catapult what I wanted to do with writing. And I was so scared when I sent it in. So scared of the rejection that I might get. And that's so funny. And they accepted the article, and I began writing a lot for that magazine over time and got to share my talents. But the thing is, you never know. So you have to give yourself the chance. You really have to just try it.
Give yourself the chance. I love that. That's very good. Now, and of course, there are these victories that you share with us, you getting the books published and having articles published. But just to show that you practice what you preach, I know that after many years, you went back and started finding new martial arts to study under new teachers, even Tai Chi a couple years ago. I remember seeing a picture of you with the sword and all that stuff. So that proves that you're into trying things and still learning. What was it like to wear a white belt again, so to speak, and to empty your cup and walk back in after so many years teaching?
I loved it. And I loved Tai Chi because it was so different. It was so different, and it was so beautiful, so powerful, but completely different from anything. I love being a white belt. I love being a beginner. And in fact, it's really funny because I'm writing a blog right now that I've never written this before, but tried Taekwondo for a couple of years. My background is sort of a Tang Soo-Do style, but it was a few different styles mixed together.
The Kinney Karate, right?
Kinney Karate. And the thing was, I started Taekwondo, and their thing was, hey, you're already a second degree black belt in your style, so we're going to bring you in as a second degree black belt in Taekwondo. And you're just going to learn you're going to learn from both ends, as a white belt going up and as a second degree going down, kind of to the middle of all the forms and such. Well, it sounded like a great idea, but I really didn't want to do it that way. I wanted to be a white belt. And I said, my style is so similar to Taekwondo. It's kind of the precursor to it, but it was different. And I just wanted to be a beginner, but they wouldn't really do it that way. But the moral of the story is, and I should have known this going into it, that it was really such a really structured program and so many requirements. And I was kind of going part-time. It was 45 minutes away from home, and I was working and driving there. It was like an hour and a half from work. And it just didn't work out. And I ended up getting thrown out of the program.
Good for you. I say that is your black belt. You got kicked out on your own terms. All right.
Out for things like lack of motivation because I didn't get there to classes enough, and for cross training because I was doing Tai Chi at the same time, and that style, that group didn't like you cross training. And I did it for like 2 years. And then I get this email. It's like, we're sorry. We're throwing it. And they publicly noticed it, like on social media and stuff. And people are like, you got stripped of your black belt? I'm like, look, no, I never had this black belt. I wanted to be a white belt. I still have my black belt. I still have my second degree for my other style.
Sure.
And so, yeah, I'm writing a blog about that right now. So when you brought that up, I was like, the blog is really about make sure it's right for you. I say, yes, go for it. Try different styles. But when you get going and you kind of feel like it's not clicking for whatever reason, then pick something else. And I wish I had done that, but I gave it a try.
Wow.
My best.
I'm sure I'm not the only person hearing you say that thinks I'm in a time warp like to 30 or 40 years ago to talk about teachers who won't let you train with other styles or who kick you out. I would think that for traditional martial arts in particular, nowadays, any student who wants to learn anything, you'd be saying, thank you for being here. Let's try this. Let me share something with you. I'm stunned that you would be rejected or kicked out. You're a nice person with a good heart. Who the heck is kicking Andrea Harkins out of a program? Who are these monsters? I don't want to start trouble here, but who are these?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Well, that's insanity. Now, I don't want to start a man-woman thing here, but were these guys who kicked you out, or were there women involved too?
No, it was a male instructor. But he did the same thing to a couple of other people at the same time, and they were actually like teenagers. So yeah, I don't know.
What?
But
a woman got thrown in with the same group of teenagers? Now I see why you started your blog. I get it now. Oh, man.
Yeah, that was interesting. So I've been what I consider a white belt a couple of times. The Tai Chi, very wonderful. And they don't actually do belts in Tai Chi like that, but very wonderful experience as a beginner, learning the breathing, the movements, and the flow. It was beautiful. I still try to practice that a little bit, and I wish I had more time to practice with my instructor, Herman Garcia. He was so wonderful. And anyway, yeah, so those are my experiences as a white belt.
All right. Well, I think you just scared everybody out of ever trying anything. Or they too will be kicked out.
I think the thing is that, like you said, this is a little bit of an old school type school. And every school is different. My advice really is just to find the one right for you. And certainly most people are not going to get kicked out. I think the problem is that I was already a black belt going into it. And maybe I had my own preconceived notions about how things should be or what I could do, because it's very hard really when you have a higher ranked degree, and second degree is not that high. It's just, it's a great spot to be, but it's not really considered that high when we're talking about black belts. But it's just great. It's difficult sometimes for instructors to see you a certain way and for you to see a program a certain way. So, I won't place all the blame on them. I probably had a few of my own little thoughts to add to things. And,
I'm sure.
But yeah, for the most people, go for it. I don't think you're going to have any issues.
Okay.
Mine was really just because I was a black belt already, and there was maybe some conflict with that.
Very well. Well, that's very fair-minded of you. So now let's start more trouble. Uh, the martial arts woman as a platform, as a mission. What are guys, males, doing wrong in the martial arts? What is the chief problem? What's your problem with us? What's going on? Why do you need your own website?
The thing is, I don't hate guys at all. I don't hate martial art guys either. I don't have anything against martial art men. What I am is just pro martial art women. Part of that is because I wanted women to have more of a voice and for more of their stories to be told. So many books, podcasts, and blogs are great. I love them. They're mostly male dominated. They're mostly men who are being interviewed. They're mostly men who are on social media groups. And I started to feel like I didn't really have a voice and that women didn't have a voice. And so that's really part of why I started the martial arts woman, is to come out and say, we're doing things too. Mm-hmm. We've got a lot to say. We've got a lot to offer. Try to encourage other women to post more on social media. You have to have thick skin on social media. You know that. You're going to get criticized. A lot of women are afraid of that, and they don't want to post something for fear of criticism. And I say, criticism doesn't matter. What matters is that we have a chance to share what we know. So I don't have anything against the guys. I love all of the martial art men that I know. They're fantastic. I've never had a training issue or anything like that. I just want to help women have more of a voice. And I think men enjoy it too. They actually listen or read to the books and think, I never knew that about women. I never knew the struggles that they have as mothers or during pregnancies or raising their families or working careers. And I didn't recognize the fact that some of them are harassed, sexually harassed, in the world, and they have to use martial arts or attacked and all these different stories. And there's so many stories. They're all different. And so I think everybody really enjoys the podcast and the books and the blog because it's enlightening. And I always keep a positive twist on things. So why not,
sure.
Right?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I'll try to get you to say something insulting and offensive, but it's not going to work.
I will say that I think the last time I saw you, I punched you in the face.
I'm going to repost that very photo. I just looked it up today to make sure I still have it, and I do. Yeah, we shared lunch, I think, maybe 3 years ago, according to my Instagram. And yes, a sock to the jaw. Well done. So then is there, being that you have so many nice also experiences with males on the mats, is there any advice you could give if you're a male instructor? Is there any advice you can give just overall based on all the stories that you've heard from other martial arts women? A piece of advice you could give male instructors or male students in general in the classroom to make sure you're comfortable or safe or getting what you want out of class? Is there any advice you could give us?
Yeah, really. And this is the advice. This is what I see a lot of women say, and that is just treat us as your peers. Just treat us as your equals. We're learning the same things as you. And for instructors, what's really funny is I did a podcast recently of an 83-year-old woman who is testing for her 5th degree in karate in January. And she said, they just won't hit me as hard as they hit everyone else. And she's raising this. So sometimes, depending on the lesson or whatever, women just want to do what they need to do to earn their belts, their degrees, their different things. They just want to be a part of the group and not always looked at like you're feminine or you're weak. And the truth is women have to use technique a lot more than men sometimes, because men can sometimes power through things and we can't. So we really need to know the technique and be able to use it.
Mm-hmm. Sure, absolutely. Although just for fun, let me go to the other side of the fence. I will tell you that as a guy, even if I'm just with guys, I don't hit everyone the same because some guys weigh 120, some guys weigh 220. So I treat everybody individually, like, well, what can you handle? And then, as you know, because I've heard recent podcasts, you might have one woman say, hey, they try to prove something, they hit me too hard. And other women say, well, they don't hit me hard enough. So everyone's an individual also. So even if you're trying to judge like, oh, well, you're a woman, I'm gonna hit you just as hard as the guys. I don't hit all the guys the same, so I'm not gonna hit anybody the same. I spar differently with kids, older people, people with fear issues or attention issues or a certain history that I know about. So I hope that everyone would see everyone as an individual first and then try to hit or challenge or teach in a way that's good for that person, taking into account their whole life experience as best you can. I mean, as much as anyone can. But just to let you know,
I think that's absolutely fair. I think, if I'm sparring with an 83-year-old woman or doing punches, that I'm probably not going to hit her as hard. I think it's a perception that women have, and trying to be equal. A lot of women think that way, but I do agree with you. It's very individual as well. You can't just go out and just, some smaller woman. And the whole idea is to learn how to defend yourself. And so you need to work with what you have to know how to do that.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, great point though, Ando.
Well, because it's always been a little pet peeve of mine, because I always hear like, oh, women's self-defense or something special for women or women. Look, I'm 170 pounds, which might sound a lot to, I guess, to if you weigh 120 pounds. But when I'm working with a guy who weighs 370 pounds or 270 pounds, or even just 20 pounds more than I do, I'm looking for technique too. I can't muscle my way through anything. So it's like big people and strong people versus smaller people. To me, that's what self-defense is. And well, women, their legs are stronger. Yeah, for me too. Well, so anyway, I think we have more in common, is my point, as self-defense students than it's not just men and women. It's small framed people against large framed people. And what can anybody do in that situation? It's hard for all of us, I think.
Yeah, but it is something I've heard, and obviously you've heard it too. So I guess the point is to help us work to our capabilities and be as strong and powerful as we can be in a situation. So
amen to that. So if you could wave your magic wand and set up your dream day, and I'm thinking more about how the martial arts woman mission is going. You do still have a full-time job. You still have other family responsibilities and things, so it doesn't get 100% of you. But if you could wave your magic wand, what would your perfect day look like? Where is your platform heading? What is the end goal for you in the mission of the martial arts woman?
Yeah. Well, I have a lot of dreams still. I'm 57. It's so hard as you get older because you feel like your time is shrinking. How am I going to finally reach all those great goals that I have? And excuse me. And I think my perfect martial arts woman day would really be writing at the beach. I'd love to be sitting outside in the sand, hear the water, doing my blogging. I would like to see myself speaking more globally, traveling, being a motivator for people. And it doesn't have to be necessarily martial arts, but just positivity, finding some way to share some of my life stories that are so interesting and different about building a steel kit house, for instance, and living in it without electricity for 5 years, and all these different things that I've done, I think are inspiring because they remind everybody that you can overcome your little obstacles. So my perfect day really is just surrounded in family and using the martial arts woman as a way to improve the world for the better.
That's beautiful. Now, if your perfect day is starting with you at the beach, are you in Arizona right now? How's that? I think I have a hint for you.
Well, but I'm 57, so I'm not planning really to retire from my day job for a while. So the beach will probably be after I start my full-time day job, and maybe it'll happen before a retirement date. But yeah, I really love the beach. So, and before I moved to Arizona 2 years ago, I lived in Florida since 1981. So I've had my fill of the beach and the sun, but I just find that as such a relaxing way to write and be inspired. So that would definitely be part of my perfect day.
All right. Well, good luck.
Maybe the mountains instead, at the mountaintop. By whatever's happening around me and the energy, that could be it too.
Sure. Maybe you're a mountain girl and you didn't even know it. Maybe. These are, I mean, you were kind of dancing around the idea of just adapting to change because you were happily nested in Florida for almost your whole life, long time. And now you're uprooted and you're in Arizona. And certainly 2020, the year that we're recording this, has been probably the most tumultuous year, certainly in the last, my lifetime, 50 years, 57 years, I'm presuming as well. So as a motivator, as a positivity missionary, what issues have come up for you, if you want to speak about your personality or your own personal life, or what advice can you give to anybody in this most dramatic and traumatic time, maybe that in all of our lives? Is there anything extra special that's come up this year more than any other year for you?
Yeah, this year has definitely been an interesting one for everyone. There's so much change that we all have to face. And I like to be very consistent. I'm a consistent person. And so I miss the way my life was. And I miss that I have to stay inside and I can't just go places, and that there's so much negative news. I just say that you have to remind yourself what's important to you. Each and every day when I get up, I say to myself, today's going to be a great day. I'm going to do these things. I'm going to create this little list of things that I want to accomplish today and goals that I want to achieve today and maybe this week. And I have to use that a lot more than I used to have to use that. Before it was, I'll write down a few goals. A couple of weeks later, maybe a couple of months later, I'll go back and check them. But now I find myself really focused on how I can stay positive by achieving small little goals throughout the day. And that's one way to stay positive in difficult times, is to create these little goals for yourself. To also remind yourself what you are grateful for, because right now all we hear is what we can't do and what you don't have and where we're not really going and how life is changing. But the truth is we have a lot to be grateful for. Can you step back and see something in your life right now that is something you would never want to lose, but you have it right now? You have your family, you have time on your side, you have the ability to maybe exercise, you're healthy. What is it that you have right now in your life to be grateful for? And these are all things that I used to practice, but I find myself really honing in on them more now because it's so easy to feel stressful in a situation, and I don't want to live a stressful life. I want to do what I can personally. I can't change the world, unfortunately. I can't change everything that's going on, but I can change and modify my own mindset, and so can anyone else. You can really remind yourself to be positive and not to focus too much on all of the news and everything over and over and over again. Maybe listen in occasionally, but don't let it become the whole focus of your life.
Absolutely, yeah. And I should point out that when you mentioned some of the great stories that you have from your life, like the building the house and your pregnancies, you've spoken about those even recently on my friend Chris Wilder's show, Martial Arts and Life. And of course, your blog is full of good articles, and your podcast. So I didn't want you to have to repeat all of those again and again. So certainly, though, I'm leaving links to the other podcasts and your website so people can go. I hope they'll go dig deep into all of your stories and your history, because there's some really interesting and inspiring tales there that you've written so beautifully about. I mean, not everyone who does writes well, but you happen to have a gift as well as the discipline to work that gift. So I highly encourage everyone to go to these places and hear more of these stories, because they're beautiful, beautiful stories. So thank you for sharing all of them.
Thank you.
And definitely, it seems like a recurring theme with everything you're saying, because you started right off by saying a happy life and talking about a mental game. Is you're having productivity and taking things the first step and doing 15 minutes here and small pieces here, and even now gratitude and focusing on what you can do. You're such a process-driven person. I mean that in a nice way. That you do, like you said, you like your routine. You like doing things the way you do, and now you've set up a different routine, and that seems to be one of the secrets to success and happiness. Yeah, that you find something to do. You don't stop and be sad and blame the world or play victim. You just focus on what you can do a little bit of it, and eventually that'll add up to something worthwhile. That seems to be your formula. 57 years old. Am I right? Is that the Harkins formula?
That is the formula. You've released my secret.
I can't pronounce your Italian name, but I hate to call it the Harkins formula, but what would be the Italian formula? What's the...
my other name, my last name?
Yeah.
Francillo. The Francillo formula.
Francillo. Hey. So don't argue with that.
I'm definitely process driven, though. I'm process driven in a lot of things. But my other thing is devotion to what I'm doing and longevity. I don't want to just hop into something and make promises to people, listeners, viewers, that I'm going to do something and start it, and then I stop, and then I don't do it. So every decision that I make when it comes to martial arts and viewership and what I'm getting my message out, whether it's the blog or the podcast or the writings, the books, is that I'm in it for the long haul. You can count on me to be there when you kind of need an inspirational moment, or you're struggling with a martial art concept, or you're not sure what direction to take in your life. I am the person who's there to help you with that always. And that's really my mission.
That's beautiful. Yeah. And I have found that, I think for myself too, that as a blogger or a video guy, whatever, I get that email all the time where someone will say, I don't even do martial arts, but I like listening to your videos. And yeah, I think I've had the same thought, that it's just the consistency and the building of trust. Maybe someone has a very broken home or a very bad relationships in their past. And even through an electronic medium, what a miracle this is. They could connect with someone like you who's going to be consistently bringing them something they can believe in again and inspire them. Have you found that the longer you've done this, that your commitment just gets deeper and deeper? Like, oh my God, why was I ever worried about doing this? Because it just seems like it just gets stronger, the compulsion to keep doing it, right? Because you must get, I'm sure you get weirder stuff than I get, but the number of good things that you get must be huge.
Yeah, it really is very fulfilling. And when I began doing this, as we talked about earlier, 7 years ago, I was actually doing a lot of volunteer work at my church at the time. And I was actually away from home a lot doing that. And I thought, I enjoyed it, but I thought, how else can I give back where I can stay at home and give back? And that's when I started talking to you. And that's when I started realizing that blogging and sharing stories and sharing insights and motivation was a calling for me. Mm-hmm. So it's something that I continue because I really have to. It's so much a part of me. And yes, it is sort of this continuum where it's almost addictive. Once I've written something and I share it, and I'm just like, I'm so happy I get to share that story. I know it's going to help somebody, and you keep rolling with it. And can't really imagine life without it right now.
Yeah. And if I may, I've always kind of considered you the yin to my yang. I love how it's not a coincidence perhaps that you're Andrea and I'm Andrew. And correct me if I'm wrong. I had this memory. There was a point where we were both going to experiment with Reddit, that social platform. Remember this? And we both signed up like within the same day or week. And I posted something, you posted something, and they all came after us because they thought we were just one person on two different profiles supporting each other's, supporting our own work, and that we were either you were the fake or I was the fake.
Yeah, I feel hilarious. And the thing is that you and I over time have written about the same topics at the same time.
Yeah,
like your blog out or my blog, and it would be like the same topic. I'm like, how did that happen? So yeah, I think there is definitely something there.
Yeah. That's why this interview might be really helpful to prove that we're not the same person.
We're not the same.
No. Vive la différence, I say. I know you're probably working on 2 podcasts and 3 articles right now as we speak, so thank you for being so generous with your time. Is there some special place that people should find you? Where should people get to know you better? Where do you recommend people go to find more about you?
Well, I have a huge Facebook page. You can just look up Andrea Harkins, the martial arts woman, on the internet, and you'll find me in so many places. Also, my blog, which is themartialartswoman.com. Mm-hmm. My podcast is called the Martial Arts Woman Podcast, and that's on Anchor Podcasts. So you won't have any trouble finding me, but I'm happy to share links and that kind of thing. But I'm all around.
Stop selling your book. Stop sounding like a commercial. You just won't stop mentioning those books.
A hint, but the thing is, that's the thing about me, is that, you know, I'm just not a salesperson. I have these great books, and we're going to talk about that right now. And the thing is, I never even think about talking about them as much as I talk about my mission and what I love to do. But I have two great books, The Martial Arts Woman and Martial Art Inspirations for Everyone, available on Amazon. They're both inspiring. The Martial Arts Woman tells stories of martial art women all over the world and how they use martial arts in life, how they've overcome obstacles, cancer, abuse, how they use it positively. It's really inspiring, and anyone can read this book and find personal motivation afterwards. And Martial Art Inspirations for Everyone is just read a couple of things, couple of pages every day. It's about commitment, about love, and about overcoming obstacles and all of those types of little things. You can just read a segment and feel good about your day. So, yes, those are my books, and thank you for letting me share that.
Well, my goodness. Because I like the way these books are formatted is just so consistent with the process. Exactly right. You don't have to read and sit down and commit like, oh, I have to read this whole thing. It's just when you need it. I think fate will help people pick it up at the right time. They'll read the right story. Then they could put it down maybe for a week and then pick it back up. It's just like a companion. It's always there. It'll say something positive to you when you need it. So yeah, I highly recommend the books. I think you did a beautiful job compiling those and letting other people have a voice through your format. I thought it was just such nice work. If I was a bigger person, I would do something like that. But my ego is far too large to share any platform. I'm sorry. Wonderful. Well, I'm delighted. Again, I apologize for that it took so long to get together like this, but I absolutely promise that I will nag you and harass you to do it again very soon. It will not take another 7 years. I guarantee it. Thank you so much, Andrea, for being who you are and for all of your great work.
Thank you, my friend.
What did I tell you? Nothing but good vibes from Sensei Andrea. To connect with Sensei Andrea, I'll put links in the show notes. To connect with me, fightforahappylife.com. Come on by. Until next time, smiles up, my friend. Let that smile be your shield and your sword. Keep fighting for a happy life.